Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Taft City Council Successor Agency, our joint regular meeting for Tuesday, October 20th, 2015, here at City Hall. We've had everybody check their phone, so I'd like to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance and invocate with Councilman Bryant. And our invocation tonight will be by Michael Cheramonte with the Lighthouse Foursquare Church.
Everybody please stand. And salute our flag. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray.
Michael, need for you up to the mic. Thank you.
I'll be all official. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. I thank you for this cool weather. I pray for lots and lots of rain because this city does need it. I pray for this governing body. Please bless it, bless this meeting, and let your light shine upon them and this city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Well, we like lots and lots of rain slowly over a long period of time.
Please let it wash off I-5.
Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Yes. Mayor Miller,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Noor,
Here.
Councilmember Cryer,
Here.
Councilmember Bryant,
Here.
and Councilmember Hill.
Okay, all the players are here. Item number 1, hearing on costs and placement of liens on abated property. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The properties listed below have had nuisance abated. The owners of record have been notified by certified mail and by posting on said property in accordance with the City of Taft Municipal Code of costs incurred during the abatement process. The owners were also notified of the time and place of the public hearing. If the cost of the abatement submitted or modified for the property listed here are not paid within 5 days from the date of confirmation, confirmed statements of expense shall constitute a lien against the property. Properties and the cleanup amounts are 124 North Street for $1,361, 711 North Street, $1,035, 105 North Street, $10,571, 322 Center Street, $620, 407 6th Street, $568, 620 Lucard for $620, and 716 North Street for $1,272.
All right. Time to conduct a hearing in regards to these pieces of property. If anybody wishing to come forward and speak on behalf or against what we're attempting to do here. All these property owners have been notified of this meeting tonight, and seems that none of them felt that it was worth attending, so we'll close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to confirm statement of expense as submitted and approve a resolution titled A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving and confirming the cost for abatement of the nuisance at 124 North, 711 North, 105 North, 322 Center, 407 6th Street, 620 Lucard, and 716 North Street.
Motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Anybody have any comments?
I have a comment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is no reason property owners should not be responsible and take a little bit of pride in where they live. If they're out-of-town property owners, then take a little bit of pride in where we live. If you're an out-of-town property owner who owns property in this town and you don't want to take pride in it, then sell it and don't bother coming back. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I do have two things.
Mr. Bryant? Sure.
One, I'd like to say ditto, because you couldn't have said it better. I like it. And on item C, 105 North, I'm just curious why it's so inordinately high.
It was a complete demolition.
Okay, very good.
It was the house located behind Arts Liquor, I believe.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's too bad North Street's being hit, but there's some absentee landlords and homeowners there. It's just a shame that the city has to get involved in that, and then all these people get a lien on their property, and they want to try to sell it, and here we are. So, Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember North,
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Hill,
Yes.
and Mayor Miller.
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. Thank you. Item number 2, annual audited financial statements for the period of 2013-2014. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. For your review is the annual audited reports for the years ending June 30th, 2014, which included the comprehensive annual financial report, management report, wastewater treatment plant financial statements. Since the city did not expend more than $500,000 in federal monies, the city was not required to prepare a single audit this year. On October 13, 2015, the Taft City Finance Committee reviewed the annual audited comprehensive financial report of the city's auditor. The committee recommended the financial statements to be presented to the city council at this meeting. Hadley Hu with Moss Levy and Hartsheim is in the audience if you guys have any questions on the report.
Have we had a chance to review these documents? Do any council persons have a question or addition?
I did have one question regarding the transit fund. I think it's first important to make sure we note that this is not this most recently completed
Yeah.
fiscal year.
Yeah.
This is for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2014, so essentially 2 fiscal years ago. We will have the updated financial statement and CAFR done for the 2015 year pretty soon. Thank you guys for working on that. But is it correct in saying that the transit operated at a $770,000 deficit in that fiscal year?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure I was
Would
reading that
you
correctly.
introduce yourself to the audience,
yes.
please? You're on camera.
Yes, my name is Hadley Hui. I'm a partner of Moss Levy and Hartsheim, and I'm the partner in charge on this audit.
Okay.
And if we could, maybe Teresa can explain why there was a deficit.
That'd be great.
Enterprise, the transit.
Total net.
This question, did you get his question? Why is there a $750,000 deficit in the transit fund?
I can probably quickly do an overview.
That'd be awesome.
There's monies owed to the city from various agencies that it takes to run the transit, and there are reports and claims that we have to send into KernCog and Caltrans. And Teresa, I think, is caught up with getting us some of our transit money, so this next audit should look a whole lot better on the transit financials.
Yeah, and it's a combination. If you look, there is some outstanding receivables
On
and
page
deferred
41.
revenue.
Okay. Very good. I think page 41 has a listing of some payables and receivables that are outstanding. So I think that one shows a $707,000 payable to the transit fund.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Correct.
Very good. That answers my question. It makes me feel a lot better knowing.
The question is, how long are those receivables been out there and when are we going to get paid?
The bulk of the $400,000 is TDA. We actually did finally receive the money in the 15-16 fiscal year, right at the beginning of the fiscal year of 15-16. So I could not accrue it back to the 15 year because I already have it accrued, but we actually got the receivable. We did receive those monies. So those wouldn't be reflected until this fiscal year ending 16 report.
So we should show probably a surplus when it comes to that. Assuming all things are equal, we should see a surplus in the 14-15 year, correct?
No, it won't be.
Or is there another timing issue with delayed receivables?
Yeah, there's always a timing
Okay.
with delayed
That's all I need
receivables
to
in
There's always a
transit.
year delay, but there's also a lot of variables that come into play. KernCog has funded a transit development plan again, where we're trying to balance out our money that we spend versus the money we take in to get the fare box ratio up so we continue to receive 100% of our money. But a lot of the money, we spend it first and we get it reimbursed depending on what program it is. But there's there's a few different pots of money that we run transit from, and the claims process works differently for each one of those
Vehicles
funds.
coming out of that, I mean, is that a part of the whole transit fund too?
Yeah, the
When we
buses.
replace vehicles?
Yeah, there's buses and then depreciation from the buses, but yeah, the
We get
buses come out.
some
there.
revenue from the PT Mizia program through Kern Cog, which I believe is the purchase of the 2 buses.
2 buses, yes.
And we have some more money that we might be spending on buses through that, so.
We also applied for 5339 excess grant money. We haven't heard back, but we applied for 2 buses on that one also.
Well, so for the 13-14 year, we're in the whole 750,000, that comes right out of our general fund until we get reimbursed for it.
Yes, due to and froms, yes. And they're charged interest expense for being,
So is there a payment schedule that we receive funds, like county taxes come twice a year? Do we only
No.
get one-time
we
funding
get,
or?
we bill monthly to Kern Regional. They pay us monthly, so we do have money coming in. They're paying a portion of the fare box, limited to $275,000 a year. Also, if in the 15-16 year, our expenses are down. I think there's short positions. I've talked to the transit coordinator over there. We're down, so our fare box ratios are increasing. Kern Cog has called us a couple times and congratulated us because our fare box ratio so fare box ratio means we're collecting more fares to cover expenditures, and for us to be in compliance, it needs to be 10%, and we're the last month report that we did for the month of September, we were at almost 6%. So, and compared to the previous years where we were 3%. So that's a huge increase. So we are making some dramatic changes in the 15-16 year. So that this coming fiscal year, I'm thinking we'll see some vast improvement.
Okay, so this is 13-14, so we had 14-15, so how did we do in 14-15?
We're still working on finishing the accruals and those kinds of things.
We will come and finish up next week.
Did that kind of answer your questions? Mr.
Thank you.
Planner? Anybody else have any other questions in regards to the budget for the 13-14 year? Well, then, if not, I'll entertain a motion to receive and file the annual audited comprehensive financial reports for the year ended June 30th, 2014.
Motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Councilmember North,
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Hill. Yes. And Mayor Miller.
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. Thank you so much. Item number 3, study session, presentation on our city investments. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to introduce David Ivory. He is the Senior Vice President of U.S. Government Entity Specialist Financial Advisor for Morgan Stanley. We've asked him to speak on the city's investments and our annual investment policy that the council votes on yearly. There's been some question that's came up in the last year concerning the city's investments and our rate of return and expected rate of return, and why is it on the low side when some other investments may be yielding more. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Ivory.
Thank you, sir. So basically, I'm here by way to talk about the investment policy and permissible investments under state code. But before we get started there, a little bit about myself, who you're talking to, basically. Does everybody have one of these?
Yep.
Okay. So on this is on my website, so it's pretty common stuff, but there's 3 items on this sheet I'd like to draw your attention to. The first one is, as Craig mentioned, I'm government entity certified. They're under the professional details. What that means is I've been schooled with regulations and codes to to keep you compliant with permissible investments. So say someday, how does this implement itself? Someday you may go to market to raise money by issuing bonds. I'm going to make sure that you didn't step in anything on the way there. That's my job. So we hire more attorneys than anybody else in the world where I work, and they're going to pretty much help me do that. And that's what the GES stands for. Very few brokers have that designation, and it allows us to work with government agencies and nonprofits like that, like yourselves. The second item is there's a young lady down halfway across the page on the left side. She's the one that does all the work. So I just want you guys to know where all the stuff gets done. I'm the investment advisor. That's my operational support. You can see she's got a few years of experience, and she's licensed. And speaking of a few years of experience, I begin under my name of Professional Details. I've been doing this since 1984. So, been around the block once or twice, worked over 20 years with different, like, college districts and cities doing this kind of business. So, I feel fairly well, schooled in this area, and welcome all the questions you guys have to throw at me. I appreciate that. Other things we wanted to talk about today was review the investment policy. I've had opportunity, I just came on board about, 6 months ago, due to another broker leaving. And because I'm a government entity, they asked me to take over. I reviewed your investment policy, and I look at a lot of investment policies. And I'm not blowing any smoke here, guys. You guys had one of the cleanest ones I've ever seen. Whoever wrote it, wherever you guys got it, very, very nice. Very prudent, very conservative. I wouldn't make any changes. We had that meeting, finance meeting the other day, and that's what we came up with. That was my recommendation. As far as the investment policy goes, your finance director has been staggering maturities, which is a way of laddering different investments. They're fixed income, obviously, because that's by code what you're allowed to invest in. And by doing that, she's not trying to guess interest rates up or down. She's taking a neutral approach, which, when people live in glass houses, is a very nice way to go. And I commend her for that. As far as the state code goes, the types of investments you're allowed to invest in typically are, not typically, they're 5 years or less maturities. They're A-rated or better investments as far as Standard & Poor's and Moody's goes. And they're only allowed to do a certain amount in certain areas, like you can do 100%, say, governments or agencies, but you're allowed usually to only go 30%, say, municipals or corporates if you're so inclined. So they have the restrictions. Whoever put that together, I've been looking for them for years. It's probably passed by now, but it was very wise the way the code was written. And it keeps people out of trouble. And I've been, like I said, dealing with it over 20 years, doing what you're doing by laddering, and the types of investment you have. I'll never have to come in here and apologize.
One of the questions that, and we're glad you're on board with us, but one of the questions that we look at, and we look at our monthly statements, and it's just, and same for my, my bank account, and checking account, you're not making anything.
Right.
But, again, why our returns are so low, and is there anything that you can recommend that we, get into within the parameters to increase our returns?
Certainly, that's a very good question. So basically, you have a number of different permissible investments. The most conservative and the lowest yielding, obviously, is like a money market account. And then if you have a little surplus that you might need shortly, very liquid, you can use LAIF, which is a state investment pool, which usually runs around 60-day average maturity. Again, no yield. Everything's like no yield. The next step up would be something like agency paper, U.S. Treasury or agency paper. Again, yields are quite low there. For 1-year paper, it's like 60 basis points. It's not going to pay many bills. Next thing people look at typically are certificates of deposit, which happen to be pretty yieldy right now relative to the other ones. You guys have a portfolio where you're getting yields depending on maturities of 90 basis points up to about 2.25%. Depends on the maturity that you laddered or staggered them out when you put them together and what rates were at that time. So your average return is going to be, it's probably 1.5-ish would be what I would say. The next thing you could do if you wanted to take a little more aggressive posturing would be to look at, say, corporate or municipal paper, which are also permissible by state code. Again, A-rated or better. I would indicate to you, if you ever look at that kind of stuff, I'd be looking at AA or better. There's no sense, I mean, you're fiduciaries. Your responsibility is to the taxpayers, and there's no reason to stick your neck out and get hit. So I've been doing that a long time. I've invested in those other categories when the boards want to do that, or the city or whatever. But the gist of it is, it's one of those things, if you're inclined to go that route, I'd recommend you put your foot in the pool first before you jump in. Just get used to it.
Are we currently keeping up? Inflation has not been a big topic of discussion in the past, and cost of living. Are we, with our investments, are we losing money in our investments, or are we just kind of flat, keeping even with the cost of living and inflation?
Well, that's a good question. The CPI, which measures inflation, is basically dead on arrival right now. It's yielding nothing. So what they do is say your return less the inflation nets you a real rate of return. But right now, if you're averaging 1.5% minus 0, you're still at 1.5%, which historically is not a bad return.
We're not losing money, though.
No, you're not losing money, and you won't lose money with the type of investments that you're making. Quite often, I like to go in a meeting, I get to say the G word, and the G word is guaranteed. You guys have stuff that's either directly or indirectly government guaranteed, so you don't have to worry about loss of principal.
I have a question for you, sir, if I may, Mr. Mayor.
Sure. Certainly.
Sir, you're David? My name's Dave. It's right here.
I'm Dave, too, for the record.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Dave, you're familiar with CalPERS, aren't
Yes,
you?
sir. Yes.
You familiar with their business plan, their assumed rate of return currently?
You'd have to enlighten me.
I'll enlighten you. It's 7.5%, David.
Yes, sir.
Right now, you could go down the street to one of the local banks, a well-known bank, large bank. I just went down there and checked on it. And if you wanted a liquid account, you could take them $500,000, cash money, put in a money market account, liquid account. You know what they'll pay you right now for that? Which is a responsible rate of return based on market. They will pay you 0.06%. 0.06%.
Correct.
All right. You said that, and right now we have a conservative but responsible, because after all, we are fiduciaries.
Correct.
And we have a responsible program here in the city of Taft, and we're running 1.5 might be a little bit on the good side. 1.3 to 1.5% is what we're earning, but we're not losing.
Right.
CalPERS anticipated rate of return of 7.5%, which by the way is down 0.25% because of the last 2 years. They anticipate 5 times what we can responsibly anticipate. Why do you suppose that is?
Are you suggesting that they're irresponsible?
That's what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting, why don't you give me the benefit? Everybody here knows my opinion. I can tell you what they earned last year. You know what they earned last year? About 2.8. They're about $5 billion in a hole, $5 billion shy. I also find it troubling. The mayor asked you if our responsible investment policy is keeping up with the CPI. Like you say, the CPI is currently DOA. It's flat. So if we're earning 1.5, we're not losing a great deal of money. By the same token, we have a published $6.4 million unfunded liability in PERS, in CalPERS, in the city of Taft.
Right.
The state of California is charging us, as they are every other municipality in the state of California, 7.5% interest on monies that have never existed, an unfunded liability. So here we are, and we respect and appreciate your professional opinion. You have 30 years experience in this field. You're telling us we're doing a very good job. We should be applauded for taking care of the people's money. And yet, we are only able to bring in 1.5%, and the state is charging us 7.5% on monies that never existed in unfunded liability, which is 5 times what we can earn, we're spending. Do you find anything troubling about that? Go ahead, sir. I'm asking your opinion, Dave. From one Dave to another, lay it out there. Take a chance.
You got the cameras off or on?
No. You're on the record here, brother.
I think you know how I feel. I think Dave's think alike, so.
All right, thank you very much. We'll take that for a hell yes, absolutely. In other words, if in order to keep up with the unfunded liability that we're being charged interest, if we told you tomorrow, hey, Dave, we need your help, we got to stick our necks out there because we have got to earn 7.5% on our investments. Point us in the right direction. You got any investments in mind right now, Dave, where we could earn 7.5%, not stick our necks so far out they'll be lopped off?
I'm afraid you'll lose your head, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just for the record, I didn't know which way you were going on that.
Okay, thank you.
One of the questions that came up in the Finance Committee meeting was, how do you get paid? How do you make a living?
Okay, well, I get paid depending upon the investments that you buy. So permissible investments, CDs, agencies, basically, are the two items that you're allowed to purchase. Typically, at least in my experience, we've been buying primary rate CDs and primary market CDs, excuse me, which means the banks, we go to the banks, we say, hey, give us $10 million so we can offer it, we offer it to our clients. The banks take the money, they lend it out because that's their gig. They pass on their selling concession to us. So we get paid by the banks, just like an IPO, if you would, on a stock, to move their product for them. And our clients are happy because they can come into Morgan Stanley or they can go into that bank and get the exact same rate. And then we offer banks across the country, so we are able to shop rates. Certain areas of the country have higher rates, certain banks offer higher rates. So we are able to maximize that and give you the benefit of a broad marketplace to look at different offerings.
So you're not on the hour and you're not on the clock with us. You're whatever. If our investments do good, you do good.
Well, I'm not tied to the performance of your investments, but if you don't like what happens, I lose the account, I don't do well.
There you go.
So yes, we're on the same boat. The average cost for the portfolio, the type of stuff you're doing is, I call it skinny rabbit, okay? So I hunt. So the gist of it is that I'm probably making an average of about 0.25% per year, and it's paid by the banks who are offering the primary market CDs.
4% or 0.25%?
A quarter, 0.25,
Yeah.
25 basis points.
Well, you know, some of us have our own investments, private investments, and, you know, when we look at what we see on our paperwork here, we kind of, why can't the city, but, you know, what you're telling us is we have certain parameters that we have to stay within. We have to have A, you know, A or AA rated companies, not a C rated company, and not junk bonds, and not, you know, get into the risky investments. I believe there was Orange County, they went bankrupt, I believe.
I was
because
around.
they got-
I used to work for Merrill Lynch. I was around for that.
Yeah.
That was quite the party.
There
I
was
got-
a couple of cities and a couple of counties that tried that route, and they went going bankrupt. So that's not the legacy we want to leave. All we want to know, you know, is that our investments are safe, we're earning the best we can, and we're telling the public that's what we're doing here. We're ensuring that your tax dollars are safe, and we're spending it wisely, and we're using it wisely, and we're investing it wisely, and we're keeping it safe wisely. And that,
I totally agree with that comment. I would say the same thing and concur with the treasurer's report that everything is the way it should be. I don't recommend taking any more risk to make up any shortfalls. All that does is end you up in the hoosegow. Life is short, too short for trouble. Stay the course, do what you can, and stay within the parameters. You are allowed, by the way, somebody may ask you if you can do something else. You are allowed to go outside state code if you wish to, but you do it at your own risk and without my, what would you call it?
Blessing.
Agreement, blessing, thank you.
Blessing, endorsement, whatever the case may be. I have an additional question for you, David, because you're talking about, we have parameters that we have to live within, but you just said we can venture outside there. At what point in time do we fail legally on our fiduciary duties? At what point in time? When are they going to come lock us up?
If you exceed the state code or your investment policy, you have an issue.
The state code, that's the state code.
Right.
Like say, let's just say, in 2008, CalPERS was worth $208 billion, and they lost $100 billion of it in 1 year because of risky investments. What would you think of that? You think they'd come look for us?
I'd hope my money wasn't with them. Yeah.
All right,
I worked for a company, it used to be Merrill Lynch, for 26 years. The CEO over there took a major risk to the stock, and my retirement went from $97 a share down to $4. I've experienced that before, and I'm not very happy to have been part of that. And there's not much you can do in that process, although had I been closer to retirement, I might have gone back to New York and looked him up.
yeah.
Just saying.
All right, thank you, David.
Dave, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is annuities
Yes.
permissible?
I'm sorry again?
Annuities?
Yes.
Investment, that be a permissible investment for?
No, not under state code.
Yeah, it's just very difficult to equate what you're doing personally and what we have to do as a city, and, you know, we just don't, the money's just not free for us to do whatever we want with it. And
I would
and we
say-
wouldn't want to, because you have a legacy and you have a reputation,
Right.
just as we have up here, and we don't want the legacy for us to be that we wasn't safe with the city's money, and it, you know, it all went into a handbasket, and that's not what the legacy we want to leave. so.
Agreed, and I own a piece of this now too, so, and it's a small town, as they say, and a small place that we all live in. So my thing is this, if people, your constituents are saying, why aren't you making more money? What's going on out there? I say that's a really good sign, because that means you're being good, responsible people with their money, and you're not out there shooting the moon.
There you go.
So I would encourage, that's music to my ears. I know it'll probably get me fired, but that's what I say.
I will tell you and share with you that in that same bank, like I say, on a liquid account, that's offering 0.06% currently. If you were to lock up 6 figures or perhaps 7 figures for a 120-month period, you could earn 1%.
Really?
Wow.
So when you look at what truly is the market and what we are able to do from a financially responsible side of things, we're doing a pretty damn good job, aren't we? Doing a good job.
I concur, yes. As a matter of fact, that leads me to my next little foray, is how are you going to do in the future? Where are interest rates headed? What's going on? Because I kind of want to set expectations so that when we get there, you're not surprised. I mean, surprises are, I think, twice a year, Christmas and your birthday, and that's the extent of it. So we had a situation where Janet Yellen, chairman of the Fed, has been talking about hiking interest rates at the Federal Reserve in response to a strong economy or to snuff off any inflation. She's been delaying it for almost a year now. She was supposed to do it again this month. She didn't do it. We had a really weak producer price index number that came out, so used that as her reasoning. And now they're talking that instead of December, it might be March before she hikes rates. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb, this is my personal opinion, but it's an election year next year. So you know what that means.
I was going to ask you that, David, good Davids think alike, but do you think for one moment they're going to take a chance of raising interest rates in election year and let the stock market take a hit because of it? You think they're going to shoulder that?
That's not going to be on anybody's power. No, that's they got to have those rich fat cats on Wall Street to make donations, and if they don't have any money to donate or to be fined for or whatever, they got to have some money. That's the key. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Eventually, there's been like 6 different times that we've gone into major recessions, and all 6 times the Fed has failed to raise rates in time to stave off an inflationary run. Okay? Never have they done it. And you think, wow, these are pretty smart folks, they're Federal Reserve governors and all that, they should know better. And my answer to you is, the Fed's appointed by the president, so it's a political process, and that's why they failed to step up in time. So that will come. And so, to your ladder that you're running with your CDs, as rates start to go back up again, you'll roll up with them. Okay? So, is anybody questions about how ladders work? Any comments or? Because basically what you're doing is you take let's say you have a 5-year ladder, you take 20% of your money and put it to mature year 1, another 20 in year 2, and so forth. And then as year 1 matures, you buy a 5-year. And year 2 matures, you buy a 5-year. So basically what you're doing is you're getting the average yield of a 5-year CD in this case, but you have liquidity every year, 20% of your money's coming due. Okay? Additionally, and more importantly, when rates go up, you're rolling up with them. Conversely, when rates roll down, you're rolling down with them too, but at a slower rate. And the gist of it is you don't have to worry about somebody throwing rocks at your house, because you're not trying to guess rates, you're just doing what happens on a ladder, and it works out usually better in the long run than any other strategy I've seen.
Basically, if you were to look at a chart of the markets and what's going on, instead of trying to hit all the highs and lows, what you're doing is you're taking the averages and you're smoothing out. So the wave pattern of our investment policy will be basically the 1/5 of the highs and the lows.
Correct.
Well, we're like any municipality, we're looking for money to support our services, and it's obvious to us, I think, that we're not going to, fund the running of the city by our investment returns. So, but we know that they're safe, and we know that they're there, and we've got it to where they are, in a way, liquid if, something comes up in an emergency situation.
We don't want to be known as
And
the
we've
next
got 'em-
Vallejo or the next
We've got it
Stockton or
spread
anything
out,
like
and
that.
we're not all clumped into one deal, so I'm, for grateful that you're here tonight, just kind of soothe our nerves, I guess, about, how our money is doing and where, where the investments are, and we have somebody looking out for us, as our finance director is doing too, so, and our treasurer. So, does anybody else have any questions?
Well, I, for one, would sure be a lot more happy with people being pissed that we're not making enough money than getting run out of town for losing the people's money. Selling my children and my neighbor and their children's children, their future, this city's viability as a municipality down the river. When you look at it, the city's always got to think of itself as maybe as a retiree or in retiree mode, because you're accepting less risk, but constant cash flow or constant build, or at least some sort of money coming in, as opposed to having any sort of risk, because the city just can't absorb that, especially one city of our size.
Fair enough.
So we appreciate it, I know from my perspective at least, and I think the council shares that same perspective.
Well, I'd be glad to come back at any time you guys like to, perhaps on a quarterly basis, and continue the process if that helps.
I believe post-presidential election is probably going to be beneficial, because we're not going to see anything happen until after that.
Well, David, thank you so much. We appreciate your looking out for us and being able to come over and give us a presentation tonight. So we'll look forward to hearing from you again.
Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, David.
All right, great. I feel a lot better. Item number 4, the citizens' request for public comments. Do we have anybody wishing to speak tonight?
By chance, have our list at the very bottom. There's the list.
David may have walked off with our... Was anybody wish to speak tonight by any chance? We don't have any? All right.
Nope.
We'll just pass over that one, for number 4. Item number 5, council statements, non-action. Mr. Knorr, would like to have anything to say tonight?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I truly enjoyed having David here and hearing about the way things are going. Hats off to staff, and I will tell you that this city has worked very, very hard to maintain a conservative, responsible fiscal policy. I think I'm kind of loud about irresponsible fiscal policies, and I have been now for about a decade, but I don't plan on stopping anytime soon, so we'll go on from there. Beyond that, I want to thank everybody who had anything to do with Oil Dorado. I tried to think as I came to the council today about the highlight, and to declare what to me was my highlight for Oil Dorado would be to demean some of the enjoyable times I had elsewhere. I had a flipping ball. I had so much fun that come Sunday, I was ready for it to be over. I don't mind telling you that. And all the people that dedicated so much time to it, the people who ran the store, the people who organized the events, public works people, the chief and his department that saw to the safety of the city and keeping the peace, the Wooden Nickel Gang and the posse. I mean, they worked so hard and spent so much time. So my hat's off to everybody. Look forward to it in another 5 years, but it was a blast. So congratulations to everybody, and thank you. From me, thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, one more thing. I forgot. I didn't bring a wonderful trophy to show you all because I'm already hanging it up in my office. And as an elected representative of the people, I will tell you that the honor of being that is a reward in and of itself, and plenty for me. But we were fortunate enough to have a mayor with the foresight to put together something brand new and different for El Dorado. It's called the Former Mayor's Luncheon. And it was a blast as well. It was a lot of fun to get together, to hear from all the former mayors, get to visit with them, understand what they go through. That's a tough chair to sit in it sometimes. Sometimes it's the greatest place to be. Other times you go home and you don't sleep because you also sit in that chair. You're one of 5, but you are a figurehead in the city. And it's a great responsibility. So I want to thank the mayor for putting that together, and I will hang mine proudly in my office. I will let you know. So now I'll let you go, but thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. North. Mr. Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. I too enjoyed the El Dorado this year. It was great. It's a little smaller than normal, but we all had a good time. It's nice when you wake up in the morning after all the parties and stuff going on in the evenings and all the going-ons, how the streets are all clean and the trash is all picked up. It's like a whole brand new day, like never happened the night before. And I think Public Works Department did an excellent job in keeping the city clean each day, and the city staff and the police department and keeping it orderly, because I never heard of any incidents that was this serious. It's been really mellow. It might get a little loud at nighttime after midnight, but everybody had a great time. But we all woke up with a clean city. The roads were, all the trash picked up, all the beer bottles, the graffiti on the streets was all cleaned up. It looked beautiful. But there's activities, you can't keep up. There's so much going on, all the activities going on, that I think people are overwhelmed how much the stuff was free to the public to go to and enjoy, the kids and stuff. It was available to them, and the different venues to go to. There's just a lot there for everybody, and some of it overlap, but a lot of fun. You pick the activity you want, and you go out there and enjoy it. I think everybody had a great time, and I think this has got a lot of benefits from it, and a lot of good enjoyment. We've been waiting another 5 more years to do it again, so
It'll come quick.
start working again and start all over again. But overall, I had a great time, and everybody I heard, very few complaints, but there's a lot of good positive stuff out there, a lot of good positive, and all we need to do is, I ask the citizens here, if you've got things to make improvements, give the El Dorado Committee and talk with them. What you'd like to see differently and what you want to see in the future. And most of all, partake. Because if you don't use it, don't come out and spend the money and show your enjoyment, you'll lose it. Different activity didn't get as much attention, they may not come back again next time. But when they do have the venues, go to them, participate, and give your comment. If you enjoy it or not enjoy it. Anyway, that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the sake of not being too redundant, I want to just echo the sentiments that I know have been said and will be said for the rest of you. But thank you to anyone and everyone who was involved in any sort of thing that happened with El Dorado, whether it's through the city, through El Dorado Incorporated, or any other event. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of pride I had by sitting downtown on either the Fridays or even the Friday before El Dorado. The pride I have as being a councilman with you four, and seeing this in not only our city, but all of our city, you can't put it into words. And it's something that made me smile ear to ear, and it's something I'll never forget. Not just as a councilman, but as a citizen here, as a neighbor to all of you guys. So I can't wait to do it again in 5 years. I know that there's a lot of us that can wait to do it again in 5 years because it's a heck of a lot of work. So thank you all. For the people that have any sort of complaints, whether it's about El Dorado in general, about the city, or about any other volunteer organization, nonprofit or whatever, there's a seat right out here in this audience. There's a seat at one of the tables at those volunteer organizations. Hell, if you really want it that bad, there's a seat on this dais up every 2 years. Put your money where your mouth is. And it's not about putting money physically, but get your butt out there and put in the work. Ask the people for input. You want to be involved. The mayor says it all the time. Live here, don't just reside here. That's the reason I want to be on this council. That's the reason I want to be part of this community, because it's great. I could always go without hearing people complain, and you probably should just overlook them at times, but you know what, for all the good we do here, no matter whether it's within the city, El Dorado, or whatever, they're gonna be the peanut gallery. Well, I'm here to be part of those people that shuts them down and knows we're doing it right. And my goal is, if we're not doing it right, we're gonna get it right next time, and I wanna be a part of that. So, again, thank you to everybody. For those who think you got a better idea, come join the table. And that's all I got, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hill?
Thank you, Mayor. I too had a great time in El Dorado. I'm glad it's over. It's exhausted. Oddly enough, the thing I truly enjoyed the most was listening to Kevin McCarthy. I genuinely enjoyed myself. I could have listened to him for another hour. He was fabulous. Alec Trebek was great. The summit was quite lovely. Sorry I couldn't be to more of it, but it was really, really nice. I really enjoyed myself. There was a lot of things that were new to me because I hadn't been to an El Dorado in a long time, and it was nice to walk around town, see what was going on. It was very nice to see so many people on Center Street. After hearing so many complaints about Center Street for so long, it was nice to see people walking down Center Street and talking about how nice it looked, how there were so many things going on. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out and participating. Thank you.
Thank you. Like it was mentioned, El Dorado wouldn't go off if we didn't have the volunteers that we have for all the events that go on. People that come down 6 o'clock in the morning, help tether the balloons so they don't float away, to the melodrama folks, to people that just worked in the store, the Wood Nickel Gang and the posse that were out just all the time. And most all those folks aren't old retired people like me. They're working people, and many of them take their time off and take vacation time. Save up for this time of El Dorado to make it fun for everybody. So if there's any naysayers out there or complainers, I don't even want to hear it. Most of those folks that do that aren't part of any of it. They don't join, they don't partake, they don't volunteer, they don't do anything. And so I don't give them any credence at all. I don't want to hear it. It's every 5 years. This is a wonderful showcase for the city of Taft. We attracted a lot of people to the community. Hopefully our retailers and our restaurants and our sales tax generators did well the last 10 days. I dare say there's any other community in this valley that puts on a production like this for 10 days. And the parade, there's not a bigger, larger, longer parade in Kern County anywhere. The Civic Luncheon, great affair, the Oil Fest. We had a attempt to really rock our socks with the Oil Stock concert series. It was unfortunate that a lot of people didn't go. I went. I really enjoyed myself. It was a first-class production out there, and but that's the way things go sometimes. The economy, it's kind of hit right now, and the oil is hit. Last El Dorado, the economy was hit, but oil was doing good. So you never tell. This was I've been on the executive board eight El Dorados, and this is the second time it's rained. And we had rain, but it didn't, it was the night of the Queen's Contest, and it was here for about 10 minutes, and that was it, and it was over with. So we were fortunate with the weather. It was a little warm sometimes in the tent, but we don't have another venue, so the El Dorado Committee hires to have that tent put in. It's just a fantastic time. So I'm grateful for your comments about the mayor's luncheon. It was something I wanted to do, in that mayors are usually introduced at the civic luncheon, and hi everybody, and they sit back down, that's it. Well, I wanted a venue to where they could come and talk and have a chance to stand up and say a little something about their experiences, what they went through, and then something that maybe me as the current mayor and council people can, and city staff can say, oh yeah, okay. So all in all, it was a great event that showcased Taft. We didn't. Chief, we didn't have any real issues, did we?
We had an injury that related to
But I mean, far as people being rowdy and tearing up town and stuff, we didn't have any of that kind of, I'm sure there was a few,
Probably one of those well-behaved Alvarados I've seen.
Yeah.
A lot of hot rods at the tire shop Monday.
Unfortunately, a lot of public works crews on the sidewalks. as well.
Unfortunately, on cruise night, some of the hot rodders decided that our nice brickwork that goes across the street was a nice place to spin their tires on, and so I know that's very difficult to get that tire rubber off those sidewalks. So I would appreciate it the next cruise night, our folks that come out, please don't do that. I mean, it just takes away from we did a lot of hard work to get downtown prepared for El Dorado, and a lot of hard work on Councilman Hill's part to make sure all those planters were up to snuff and looking good, and I know everybody appreciated it. So it was again, thank you to all our volunteers. It was a tremendous show. Chairman Paul Linder, president of the El Dorado this year, the whole team did a great job. So that's all I have. Any department reports tonight? Chief, would you want to speak at all, or?
I'll wait for the next one.
Okay. Mark, you're okay? Everybody okay? Item number 7, city manager statements. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to point out that the volunteers involved with El Dorado is kind of an example to other communities what TAP's all about, because like you said, a lot of these folks take their 2 weeks vacation to help put on El Dorado, and that means they go the rest of the year without vacations with their family. So all the volunteers, I too want to give thanks to those volunteers. And another thing is, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but Anheuser-Busch stock went up $1 during El Dorado. I think their sales went up a little bit. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, item number 8, city attorney's statement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just real briefly, I wanted to comment on, I brought my family, my wife and my children down for El Dorado, and the only thing I can add to what everyone else has said is the viewpoint of someone who doesn't live here and who had never been to an El Dorado before. And it was really a lot of fun. My wife loved it, and my children were, as I think I expressed earlier to a few of you, they were very upset to hear that El Dorado is only once every 5 years. It was a great time. Mr. Cryer, or Councilman Cryer, stole my thunder a little bit. I wanted to say that on the last day, Sunday afternoon, before we left town, I took my family for a walk down Center Street. Of course, everything was for the most part closed, but one thing my wife noticed was how, after having had thousands of people in this town for 10 days, the street was immaculate. And it just absolutely was almost sparkling. And I don't know who was in charge of that, if it was the El Dorado Committee or if it was city staff, but it was really very, very impressive.
Public Works.
Public Works, what a fantastic job that they did. The other thing I would say, and I hope you take this as a compliment because it's the way that he meant it, my 12-year-old son, when we got to the end of Center Street, and this is just before we left, unprompted, he said, "Dad, this reminds me of downtown San Luis Obispo." And I thought, I think that's a testament to this council, to the prior council, to city staff, to the members of Taft who've worked for several years now to build businesses there and really make it something special. And I offer that only as the viewpoint of an outsider. My kids had never been here before, but that's what they saw. And I think sometimes when I hear people in Taft speak about Center Street, they say a lot of positive things, but also when you live somewhere, it's easy to see the negatives. And my son didn't see any of that. My family didn't see any of that. He just saw something that looked like a great downtown to him, and he really enjoyed it. And I hope that Taft can see that as well. So thank you. I think I told you earlier that my 9-year-old asked that I asked the city council to please have El Dorado every year. I told him that was probably DOA. However, there's the official request. I can now go back and look him in the eye.
Oh, okay.
So thank you very much.
You did ask, and we'll remember that. Well, we're glad you enjoyed yourself, and that's the whole point of El Dorado, is to make it fun, a good family affair, and have enough events and things for people to do to enjoy. And we get so many people that return back and that have lived here, and they save up too, to save their time and whatever to schedule, October of every 5 years to come back and Well, I don't know how many class reunions were here. It was just amazing.
Had been at least 5, wasn't there? At least 5 class reunions.
All right, item number 9, future agenda requests. Do we have any, anybody has a agenda request?
Not this evening, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, let's move on to the consent calendar, items 10 through 13. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 10, minutes, October 5th special meeting, October 6th regular meeting. Item number 11, payment of bills. Item 12, treasurer's report for dated October 8th, 2015 for the month of August 2015. Item 13, city investment policy annual review. So does anybody wish to take a consent item off the calendar?
Mr. Mayor, I just need to abstain from the special meeting minutes.
Okay.
I was not here for that.
So noted. Anybody else? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent calendars, item 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, and note that Mayor Pro Tem Noor is going to abstain for voting on the minutes of October 5th.
And
Madam-
6th, I beg your pardon, Mr.
And
Mayor.
all what?
Both, item 10.
Both of them?
Yes, sir,
Oh, okay.
I was elsewhere.
Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Noor,
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Hill,
Yes.
and Mayor Miller.
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. Okay, item number 14, Economic Ad Hoc Committee schedule. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. On September 1st, 2015, the City Council confirmed and formed the Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee consisting of council members Bryan and Hill with Mayor Miller as an alternate. September 2nd, 2015, the Planning Commissioners Lycum and Livingston with Commissioners Jones as an alternate were selected to serve on the committee. The City Council directed the City Clerk to publish a notice that the city was accepting letters of interest at large members to serve on the committee. 30-day interest period closed on Friday, October 9th. Those interested in serving are still welcome to submit their letter of interest until up to the first committee meeting. Based on the committee member and staff availability, it was recommended the council set Tuesday, November 5th, 2015 at 4 p.m. as the first meeting. At the kickoff meeting, the committee members will review the letters of interest submitted at large members and make a recommendation to the city council at their next meeting.
So, is this a date that we've selected, or is this okay with all the members?
I know that Ms. Johns was soliciting for dates that people were available, and I believe that's the date she came up with, but I'm not positive.
That's what I'm doing.
My suggestion is that you guys can okay that date, but allow us the flexibility if folks can't make it. So generally, on these ad hoc committees, we poll the members to see when the availability is, and we have the meetings. This is our first meeting.
We have Councilman Bryant, Councilman Hill, and Planning Commissioner Lycum and Livingston.
And myself and Mark Staples.
Oh, so you're on it too? Okay. So how many members of the public are?
We're looking for 2 at this time.
Did we have some interest
We have
submitted?
one letter of interest submitted. We're still seeking another person, I believe.
Here's your chance. Here's your chance. If you want to be involved in something,
This is
here's an
kind of a
important
spin-off
committee.
of the meeting we had at the fort,
Yeah.
where we did the brainstorming for economic development. It was kind of, we compiled all the information. Now this committee's going to go through and kind of sort everything out and try to get a schedule and a timeline and prioritize the items that need to be done. And
So this is an Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee for the city of Taft. This is not an Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee for downtown Taft.
No.
This is for the city of Taft. So this is for, everything that's going on. So it's not a downtown committee. So I want to make that very clear to anybody that might be interested in this. The city is looking to this committee to bring forth some ideas. Mark, you look like you wanted to say something?
I'm just available if you want anything more.
Well, you have anything to add? I just want to make that clear to folks, maybe we'll generate some other interest, because this is not a downtown thing. This is, for, the airport, the industrial parks, everything.
Very much so. If you recall at that meeting back in July, we had 9 different categories that we were going around the table discussing.
Tourism, everything.
Yeah.
So these members will look at the memo we put together, which was still pretty lengthy because of all the good comments that we received. But this committee will work to pare this down into some priority projects or efforts that the council will eventually vote on to have staff work on in the future.
Quick question, just to kind of add on to what the mayor was saying. Is it restricted to only residents of the city within the limits?
It is, because whatever efforts we do would just be limited within the city limits. We don't have any
Although
jurisdiction
what
over
we do
folks.
here has an impact on.
It does have an impact, yes.
Exactly.
Well, it could be someone that owns a business too in the city.
Owns a
Okay,
business, yes.
very good.
Yes. We do have 2 people interested. We have an informal request via email, I believe we received, so we have 2 so far, but we're still welcoming more because it'll be at the discretion of the committee to welcome 2 or more to the group as they see fit.
If we get enough interest, we could expand the committee too. So,
Right.
This is an important thing, and after that round table that we had down at the fort, I mean, this is getting input from everybody for the future TAP. It's not just on 5 shoulders here. We want to know what everybody's thinking and what's going on, and more eyes out there, and more thoughts, and more global experience we can get to us, more help. So it's just, we don't want to just throw it on all Mark's shoulders either.
This committee does have some leniency because it is a ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
So it only is an advisory committee to the city council. It's not a standing council committee. So we do have some leeway.
But it's a way to funnel these ideas to the council.
But it gives us
so.
the flexibility of when we have meetings, how many members we have. And
Right.
it doesn't have to be so formal.
Right. All right, so right now, informally, we have a meeting scheduled for November 5th. So if you're still interested in that October 9th, we're throwing that date out. So if anybody's interested, just get hold of city clerk down here at City Hall, and she'll tell you what you need to do and how we get you signed up.
We could probably repost on our news feed, and then we have a couple sit and sips between now and then. So remind folks to submit their letter of interest if they're still interested.
Oh, good. All righty. Well, thank you, Mark. Okay, we're moving on to items. Well, actually, we're out of items. We're going to go into closed session, as we do. Item number A is conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. We always like that. Government Code Section 54956.9B, 2 potential cases. Item B, conference with labor negotiator, Craig Jones, city manager. Government Code Section 54957.6, all units. And item C, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9A, case number BCV-15-100357. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching us and being here tonight.